So not only am I here because we're taking vacation. Holiday. In India, it's called holiday. And also to see the lovely Cassandra Sotos play with Airjeet. But we are also here doing brown box work. We are looking for different pieces and parts for the brown box here in India. As a lot of you know, there were tons of issues with supply chain and everything, and Cassandra has a lot of really cool relationships with people in India.
A lot of people get their components, they source their products and components from China. Actually, a lot of the stuff that we purchase that goes into the brown box, you cannot find in the United States.
Just can't even find it. They don't even make it.
It doesn't exist. So, I mean, you can buy something from the U.S., but actually you're paying more for the price, which is you feel like you've bought something from the U.S., but you haven't. It's made in China. It's being resold to you in the U.S. So there's a lot of things that are sourced from China, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But when it comes to having a business plan and decisions for manufacturing, you want to make sure that you have backups on backups on backups. And we learned that in the pandemic, of course, because at any time you could just stop being able to get your components from China. Like if something happens, just, I don't even need to say what might happen because we know what might happen, or it could be any number of things. So it's always good to expand the network and have more places to get more different things. And of course, I have a lot of relationships with people in India. I like working here. I'm a big supporter of India. I want to support the Indian economy. And over the last 10 years, I guess, there's been a big push to grow manufacturing in India so that people are thinking that within the next few years, maybe 10 years, it will become one of those electronics production big players, whereas China has led the way for the world for the most part in recent history as we know it. The manufacturing of the world is based out of China, and a lot of people are working to make India a superpower in that as well. So it's sort of natural for us to want to be able to source parts from here, have some manufacturing here, and then also grow the retail business here too. I mean, basically end to end for us. We're trying to develop relationships while we're here. Also, we don't stop working. So
that's right.
There's that.
We have the Eurovolt product, which Pat, the original owner of Brown Box, made in 2020, and he released it at the beginning of 2020, and then the pandemic happened.
And that pandemic happened.
So that's something that we are considering. Basically, it's a brown box, but for any country that has 220 or 240 voltage instead of 120 like we do in the States. And there's a lot more countries that have 240 than there are countries that have 120. So we're excited for the opportunity. We may be changing the design, the logo, all of that, but we're also doing basically research and development here in India so that we can
release the product here.
Make the best product that it can be released here in Australia and in Europe and in other places. I had no idea that there's stuff that is just not made in the United States. We would love for the brown box to be 100% US made, but there's just, I made all the phone calls that I could trying to find the things, but there's some things that are just not made in the United States, and I had no idea. It's pretty wild. But sometimes, if the only place in the world that makes them is China, then China will sell them to India for a different price than they'll sell them to the United States. So hopefully more stuff will be made in India and we can buy things from India. But we have a mutual friend with someone who, what's his job title?
So actually Mayank is by trade a mechanical designer, and he does 3D drawings, and I think that's originally how our friend Kevin met him, was through some 3D design work, but he's sort of become a procurement and sourcing person for him. So, because of being in mechanical design, he has a lot of contacts in the manufacturing world in Ahmedabad. which is where he lives. And so he started doing component sourcing or vendor sourcing, actually, I would say, because he's doing some manufacturing. And we got to meet him while we were in Ahmedabad.
It just so happens that where Cassandra was playing with Airjeet was Ahmedabad.
Which is where he lives.
It was perfect.
We spent a lot of time working with people who we may never meet in person.
Right.
Like maybe at a NAMM or something like that, we'll get to meet people face to face. But like, I mean, I'm emailing with people on the phone all day, every day. It's like I work with them full time, but I don't know what they look like. I've never met them. Maybe I've seen their LinkedIn, but that's it.
There are a lot of people that are probably feel that way that got jobs during the pandemic, though.
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
Very interesting.
A lot of Zoom jobs. But then, you know, we do a fair amount of overseas sourcing. So just having the opportunity to meet somebody like that in person is very rare.
Yeah.
And so we made sure that we would have time to meet him, and it was awesome. We had an incredible day with him, like professionally and personally. It was just like a lot of fun. We got to see a couple of different manufacturing facilities for metal casting, which was really cool. My background's in industrial manufacturing engineering, so I've seen a lot of this equipment in the States, but I've never seen it. I've never been to a manufacturing plant or seen the equipment in another country, because, I mean, that's totally different. Because the way that they set things up and the rules and regulations and things like that are just very different. So getting to see that was really awesome. And not only that, we got to visit his home and have tea.
He invited us over to his house.
Yeah, we got to go to his house.
Meet his kid.
And we had an incredible lunch with him, and it was just a great day.
Incredible lunch. Vegetali.
Clark
Oh
is
my
a big
gosh.
Vegetali fan.
We'll have another video about this, but my favorite meal so far in India for sure.
We're going home with thali sets, actually.
We are. Come over to the Brown Box house for thali. Did I say that right?
We're definitely not saying it right.
Yeah.
There's a way to have the H, like TH. PH, BH, TH is a sound that we don't have in the English language, and it's very difficult to say it correctly. So,
because it's not thali.
no, it's not thali, it's thali. There's like something like that. I mean, we're still not doing it correctly. But maybe one day, also maybe not, I don't know. We'll show pictures and videos of that lunch. It was incredible. Thank you, Mayank, for a wonderful day working on Brown Box stuff and taking us to lunch. It was just perfect.
Shout out to you, my uncle.